Hello there, good people. Welcome to Raw Vegan Rising. My name is Shane Sterling. In this video, I wanted to talk about what led me to a raw vegan diet and why I stay 100% raw. At 17 years old, I went vegan. That was 29 years ago now. I went vegan because as a young man, 17 years old, just coming up in the world, looking out at the state of the world, a sensitive, intuitive young man, I was so disillusioned by the pain and the suffering and the evil that I saw on this planet, the military-industrial complex, factory farming, the systems at large, the society that we live in general just really turned me off. It really turned me off. And the more I kind of became aware of the state of our world, the more I really turned to myself to take action, to find a solution. Well, going vegan was one of those solutions. And I also, I had to register for the draft at 18 like all men do. And I wrote a letter to the draft board saying that it was against my sovereign rights, it was against my constitutional rights, and it was against my belief systems and my religious beliefs that I would not serve in the U.S. military and that I am exempt. I wrote a letter. I don't know who received that letter or what, because the military system, the military-industrial complex, the mining of oil, the banking system, the infrastructure of our cities and automobiles is all a conspiracy, basically. It's all an infrastructure set up to exploit and profit off of the masses. It is the matrix. And, good-hearted, God-fearing people didn't invent that system. Who I believe invented that system are people who work at the very highest elite levels of our society who are basically all Luciferian. That's their religion. The masses get Catholicism and Judaism and all that stuff, right? The major religions of the world. But the elites who truly run this world are Luciferian. And, from what I've come to understand, everything we see in our world around us is a Luciferian ideology. The murdering of animals for food and eating the death and the blood and spilling the blood, that's Luciferian. You could call it satanic if you want, because it is like a satanic act to spill the blood on such a mass scale. It's ritualistic, it's done ritualistically, and it's extremely painful to be part of our society, as we know. I mean, there's a lot of aspects of our society that are that basically compromise the human spirit. It puts us in a desperately compromised place where we can't thrive, we can't get ahead, we don't even know who we are. We're not living in integrity with our own sovereign birthright to be, a light being, essentially. And from a young age, I always felt like I was a light worker. I always felt like I came here to see this atrocity and to basically shed light on this atrocity within myself first, to acknowledge what's going on, to get to the root of what it really is that's causing the pain and suffering on this planet, and to basically do something about it. So at 17, I went vegan because I knew that being vegan would not contribute to the atrocities in the mass murdering of animals and the putting of blood and death into my own body, so that I would then at least be able to get a footing in terms of who I am. And I was just a young kid at that time, so I didn't really take on my health. I didn't take on my health. I ate vegan junk food like everybody else. I lived on lentils and tofu and bread and all that stuff, And back in like 1989 or whenever it was that I went vegan, there wasn't even any vegan options at the grocery store. Zero. Literally, there were zero vegan options at the grocery store. So I had to use margarine. It was called Willowwood margarine, was the only one in my area that I could use as butter, as a vegan butter alternative, and it was a hydrogenated oil. I mean, Jesus, now everything I know, of course I wouldn't eat hydrogenated oil. But at the time, I was just looking to replace animal products, and it's been such a journey. I'm 46 years old now, so I've come a long way. It's been 29 years, and now I'm raw vegan. I'm 100% raw vegan. And the way that I got to be raw really comes down to me being in integrity with myself. At 30 years old, I had come across the Essene Gospel of Peace. The book was handed to me by a stranger on the street one day. He handed me the book, and it was the Essene Gospel of Peace, and I took it as a sign that I was supposed to read this book. And it talked about raw food, talked about fasting, talked about the Essene lifestyle. And I had really an epiphany. I had like a total awakening or a remembering of some part of myself that was like dormant, that kind of awoke at that time. And shortly thereafter, I believe I attempted to go raw, 100% raw, but I was still pretty young, in my early 30s, struggling to get by and pay the bills, and working a crappy job that I hated. And I just really didn't have the bandwidth to really take on going 100% raw. But I always knew that my highest integrity within myself, the highest level of me being a light worker on the planet, the highest level of me being in service to shed light and to free myself from the Luciferian matrix, was to be raw. I knew in my heart that going raw would somehow give me this clarity of mind, or lift me up out of the desperation that humanity finds themselves in. I didn't know it for sure, but my intuition has always guided me correctly. As a sensitive, intuitive, artistic individual, I've always been in tune with my kind of internal guidance system. My internal guidance system has never steered me wrong. And when it talks to me, I know when I'm getting internal guidance signal, as opposed to just meandering thoughts running through my head. I know the difference. I'm blessed that way, and I never take it for granted. So I listen to things like that. And being raw, the raw food paradigm, the Essene way of life, was one of those times when I knew that was in my future. I knew it was calling me, but I was very daunted by what it would take to be 100% raw. And it really took me 14 years after that Essene Gospel of Peace book was given to me that I actually made it to 100% raw. And the mechanism that I was working on within myself right before I decided to go 100% raw was self-worth. Everyone who struggles with success and creating love and finances in their life and health is most likely because we have self-worth issues. And we have self-worth issues because we've been abandoned, we've been traumatized, we've been abused, we've been manipulated by the system, we've been hurt by our parents and our loved ones, we've been abused by people we love the most, and all of these things break down the trust bond that we have with our primary love relationships, to where we can find ourselves, like I did, drifting amidst the chaos of life with no direction and no power and no self-worth. And so I was on a mission to heal my self-worth, and this was about 3 years ago. Me and my wife started on this path together, and God bless my wife for being such a comrade to me and taking on this work together with me. But to heal my self-worth, I came upon the greatest chasm in my own experience, the greatest conflict and contradiction in my own being, which was that I wasn't taking responsibility for who I truly am in the world, which is a light worker and someone who's here to not take on the Luciferian system, but rather remove myself, to free myself from the Luciferian system and matrix of control, so that I could maneuver through it to be free, and I can help others. I can help others awake out of the matrix. I can help others awake out of the slavery and the poverty and the chaos that is, like a knee in the throat, in the jugular vein of humanity. We're under severe control. They control us through our food. They control us through the mainstream media. They want us watching, Hollywood movies. They want us listening to mainstream Hollywood stars and actresses and musicians. Hollywood is all Luciferian. Look at the symbolism coming out of Hollywood. Everything in the mainstream media, it's all satanic symbolism everywhere we look. The Kardashians and all the pop stars, all wearing satanic symbolism. Every new pop star that comes out with the #1 hit, all is tattooed with satanic symbols and satanic symbols all over their clothes. Because the people who run the movie industry, the people who run the music industry, the people who run the oil industry, and the people who run our society and the banks and the top of the pyramid are Luciferian. They worship and idolize Lucifer. So we can take it at face value. The symbols are being given to us. We are shown the symbols and who they are. We see it in the movies, we see it in the music, so we can just pay attention to what's going on and see clearly that we are being manipulated and bombarded with Luciferian ideology. By me being 100% raw, and by you being 100% raw, we can free ourselves from this Luciferian matrix of control, because the raw food brings the light consciousness into our body. It brings the remembrance and the awakening of our intercellular communication of who we're truly meant to be, the divine connection to the sun, the divine connection to the laws of nature. These are all bound in the molecules of the food, the biophotons in the food, which reminds us of who we are supposed to be. It awakens our minds up out of the slumber, and it allows us to become the warriors that we're supposed to be. At least that's what it is for me. That's what it is for me. So raw food and staying raw is easy for me because I have a big mission. I have a mission to be empowered. I have a mission to be in integrity on the highest level with my own being. For me, it doesn't matter who I'm supposed to be in society's eyes, that I'm supposed to eat meat or that I'm supposed to eat cooked food. I don't care. What I care about is that I'm in the highest integrity with myself so that I can have high self-esteem, high self-worth, be highly effective, be highly magnetic, be highly capable of transmitting and transmuting the energies that I need to into the world to affect the fabric of reality around me so that I can make a difference. So I can help others remember who we're supposed to be and awaken out of this system of control that has us by a death grip. And the way that we feed ourselves is a primary way that we unlock the power and the clarity and the divine connection within our own beings. So it's about ultimate integrity. It's easy for me to be 100% raw because what I choose to eat is in service to my bigger mission. And the bigger mission is being connected to the divine energy, the divine universal law, God, sunlight energy, the sunlight particles. The Luciferians worship the sun. All of the symbolism in the Luciferian ideology is sun symbolism. You see the sun symbolism everywhere if you look closely. And the sun is who they worship. Lucifer is the light bearer, the light bringer, So the Luciferians worship the light, and so do the light workers. But it's two sides. The Luciferian ideology says there is no moral repercussion and consequence outside of what we say is our own moral consequence, meaning that it's moral relativism, that morality is relative, where I believe morality is objective. There is objective truth and there's objective laws of the universe, and we have to abide by objective laws, truth laws that are immutable laws. The Luciferians and the Luciferian ideology that is our modern society believes that there are no universal laws and we make the laws. That's why we see the state of our society as we see it today. But that is a dark, heavy, hard path. When you align with the immutable laws of Mother Nature and God and the universe, it sets you free. And one of those is raw food. Eating for our divinity, eating for our clarity and for our purpose, and for our unity with all life on planet Earth. When we eat animals and we eat processed foods and we eat cooked foods, we're living in the moment for the Luciferian ideology that is, there is no consequence to my actions. I can slaughter many. I can, rape and pillage and exploit, and there is no consequence. The Luciferians work on the dark side. It's the dark forces. And this planet Earth, very well might be the domain and the dominion of Lucifer, which is why the Luciferians, the very elite at the top of the pyramid who run this world, know that. And that's probably why they worship Lucifer, because we are in Lucifer's domain. And I believe it's also why I've come here to this domain, because there's work needed here in this domain. Humanity is asleep in the matrix, and I'm here as a light worker to help. That's what I feel in my heart. So that's why I'm raw vegan. And that's why I stay 100% raw vegan, because it's the light body that I'm feeding. It's my light. It's the light within and complete cellular communication. So my own internal cells communicate with each other, but then my cells communicate with everything around me. So I can feel the oneness with where I am, which is planet Earth, and the divinity here, and all the plants and animals. And we all have this capability. I believe that it's just a process of waking up. Some wake up sooner, some wake up later, but we're all going to wake up. We're all going to wake up to this fact, and we're going to have to basically shed light on the darkness. When you turn on the light and all the cockroaches scramble, right? Well, that's what's going to happen with the Luciferian ideology that runs our society. We're going to turn on the light, and the cockroaches are going to scramble. So I know this topic is something different than I normally talk about, and I really wanted to talk about the truth behind why I have been led to a raw vegan diet and why I have absolutely no problem staying 100% raw. And I tell people all the time, I tell clients of mine, I tell friends, I tell people on social media who reach out to me that having a big why is the number one way to be successful on a raw vegan diet. Having a reason bigger than yourself. My reason for being 100% raw is bigger than myself, as I've just described. And if your reason for being 100% raw is bigger than yourself, if it's in service to something grand, like helping others, then you will wake up every single day committed to what will be effortless, because you'll know what an impact it can make, and you'll know what a difference you can make. And healing our self-worth is part of knowing how we can make a massive difference in the world. Each one of us, every single one of you watching this video, can make a massive difference. You know deep down in your soul that you came here to make a difference, but we're clouded, we're kept from it. We're kept from the power of who we are, awakening to our own divine nature. So get motivated on what your why is, and you'll see the pathway forward to stay on a 100% raw vegan diet. That's what I believe. Thank you for being on this video with me. I appreciate it very much. Please subscribe to my channel so I can share this message with others. This is an important topic for all of us, awakening each other, and we all need to do our part in helping give a hand up for our fellow mankind. So please subscribe. Please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I will see you in the next one.